welcome to another season of Not Your Average Joel, the podcast where we talk about a little bit of a lot, from the good to the bad and everything in between. My podcast is all about having fun, but it's also all about bringing awareness and addressing the elephants in the room that nobody wants to talk about. I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode. Not Your Average Joel starts right now. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Not Your Average Joel. So, of course, we have another amazing topic to talk about today. And before we get into our topic, I definitely have to welcome back our guest. Well, really, he don't need an introduction. He's been on here a few times already, and I've always enjoyed having him here. Last time he was on here, he had some amazing ghost stories to tell us. And, I learned a lot about the whole ghost situation, like whether I believe in ghosts or not, and spirits and Bigfoot. And, I think those were some good conversations that we had. And he is back here today to talk about another great topic. So I want to welcome back Miguel to the podcast. And I definitely appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Joel. It's definitely fun just having a chat and, expressing some of our thoughts and sharing our knowledge, I guess. But yeah, I'm definitely glad to be back. I like your podcast, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate the support and I appreciate you being here from outer space once again too.
Yeah, it's really nice up here. You can see everything. Like um I'm afraid of heights, and down there it's kind of far down. So I try not to think about it too much.
Yeah, overcoming your fears right now as we
Overcome
speak.
Overcoming my fears right now. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So yeah, it's definitely always good having Miguel here. And I know that y'all can see on the subject line on YouTube or any of the podcast stream uh work platforms of my episode name. But I know some of y'all may be questioning, you already did a topic on friendships. Why are you doing a part two? So the reason why is because yes, I did do a part one talking about friendships with my friend Dreama back in 2022 in season one. We talked about friendships and we talked about things like qualities that makes a true friend and like did you learn any lessons from people that were in your life for a season and stuff like that. But I came up with more questions that I wanted to talk about. So that's why I'm doing a part two. So today's topic is on friendships. And I have a few questions that I want to ask Miguel. And of course, I'm going to give some input as well. So I think I'm ready to get into this first question. These questions are a little bit more on a serious side. I mean, I feel like to me they are. The first time that I did this friendship podcast, I feel like it was a little bit more surface level and like a little bit more fun and like play along with kind of thing. But I feel like this is a little bit more like reality to like friendships. So I guess I'm gonna go ahead and get in with this first question. So sometimes I feel like people don't like the idea of someone being honest with them, and sometimes those people just so happen to be our friends. And I feel like sometimes there are moments where if you're honest with your friend, then you can end up being worried that you're going to lose your friendship with them just because you were honest with them. So, my first question is this: have you ever been in a situation like that before? And if so, were you able to keep that relationship, like that friendship with them, or did it unfortunately end?
So I'm gonna give you two perspectives on this because
Okay.
there was a situation like this when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, I was more afraid of losing my friends and letting them know what I thought, like actually not telling them the truth or giving them advice or telling them something that kind of bothered me and they didn't really notice or they didn't they didn't know they were doing something to bother me. But when it comes to me now, like adult me, I don't care whether or not if they get their feelings hurt. It's not being mean or selfish or any type of way because I'm extremely nice person. But when something bothers me now, it's like back then you're like, oh, I don't want to say because then he'll say he's not gonna be my best friend no more, you know. And so I'm like, now it's different because we're adults, we're in the real world, and if something bothers you, I feel like everyone should be able to speak up and say, like, speak their mind, say what they mean. Well, and people should accept whatever those people have to say and not get bothered and not get angry. And if they disagree with it too, just talk it out. Like for instance, I'm sure I've had a few disagreements with brothers and even family members that are like older than me, like my uncles or my aunts, even my mom and dad. And honestly, like I've seen I've seen what it does whenever you actually stand up and speak for yourself because you're like, hey, that's wrong. Like if I know some me, I like to correct people when they're wrong. Not necessarily that I feel like I'm right all the time because I am man enough to admit when I'm wrong. Like people have told me I'm wrong before, and I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, yeah, I didn't see that I did that, but like in certain cultures or even like mostly cultures and people are educated a certain way or like they've learned or their parents taught them differently, and they'll tell you certain things that are like, don't do this because it could seem wrong and it could offend somebody else, and you're like, oh, I didn't think about that, and like something that my parents didn't teach me. So I'm just like, I take that and I'm just like, thank you, because honestly, that makes me see it in a different perspective, and I understand now. And it's kind of like, sometimes I gotta be careful what I say now. Sometimes some people are just negative and they do tend to say things that they try to hurt you. Now that's being, toxic. If you have a friend who's toxic and you're not and you're afraid to not tell that person that, hey, like your negative vibes are really affecting me, and I'm starting to feel like I'm acting like you in a certain way, or like your negative vibes are affecting me to the point where I'm starting to become negative, and sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And honestly, it's not wrong to say that because sometimes, you know, really good friends are really hard to come by. And for myself, like speaking speaking on my behalf, I would give my life for my friends. Whenever I have friends, I think of them as brothers. I don't think of them as friends. Like for me, the word friend is actually like a really, really meaningful thing because once somebody tells me they're my friend, I'm just like, well, you know, like I'll try to help this person out. But there's people that try to take advantage of that and they end up, being leeches. Like they suck the blood out of you. But I am lucky to have friends in my life that I consider friends and that have been around my life for a long time. And so I think that no, we shouldn't feel bad for speaking up, and my personal opinion on it is yeah, we should always tell our friends what we think because sometimes either we're wrong or they're wrong. They could either give us advice or we could give them advice. But if they are toxic, it's best to stay away from them. I have a story actually. There's a guy that I considered a friend, and every it was a work friend, and everybody at work kind of like shunned him out because he was different. And I was like, man, I was like, don't worry about them. I was like, everybody can be mean sometimes, and they don't know it, or sometimes they do know it and they don't care. But I was like, I was like, I was like, you want to hang out sometime? Go grab a bite, something, you know. And then later on, he invited me to go hang out with him and his girlfriend. And there was another girl involved. And they wanted me to go out to the city with them to downtown Birmingham actually. And they were like, we're gonna go around and he had been drinking, so that was like a red flag for me because I was like, nah. I was like, it kind of seemed to me that there was gonna be trouble. So I got this feeling in my gut, and whenever I have that feeling in my gut to not follow it, I'm like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna go home. Like if I want to drink, I'll drink at home. I'll drink at a bar, take an Uber, something. Like I'm not gonna be driving. So yeah, he was just like, oh, whatever. Um, he left. The next day, I wake up. There was like 15 missed calls and like a bunch of messages on my phone. And he blew my phone up. He was just like, dude, like, where you at? Where you at? I figured something was wrong, but when he came to work, I was like, something definitely went down last night. He had a black eye, a busted lip. He was just like all beat up, and I was like, what happened to you? He was like, man, I was trying to call you last night. Some guy, he called his friends and they beat me up. I was like, why? He's like, you know that girl that was with me? The girl that was with us last night? I was like, yeah, the one you were trying to tell me to go out with. He was like, yeah. He was like, apparently her boyfriend still has feelings for her, and he followed her. He tracked her phone or something like that, and he followed them all the way to where they were, and the girl and him started going at it, and he was like, come on, let's just go, and something happened. I'm pretty sure he ran his mouth and the guy and his friends ended up beating him up with a baseball bat.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I was like, yeah, remind me. I was like, remind me never to hang out with you again. He was like, oh, yeah. I After that, I was just kind of like, he doesn't think before he does things, and so like, yeah, friends like that, you kind of got to cut off people who are problematic. Not saying that he's problematic, but I mean, he did get into a lot of trouble. So, but
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, sounds like yeah, he fell into a lot of problematic situations. It sounds like yikes.
yeah, yeah,
Mm. But kind of going back to your answer about like how you would answer it back when you were younger compared to how you are now. I actually can relate in a way, but my answer is kind of the opposite as an adult sometimes, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really grow up with many friends. So, whenever I would make a friend, of course, I would kind of have the same attitude as you did. Like, oh, I don't want to say something that hurts his feelings or hurt her feelings. Like, I don't want them to not be my friend no more and all of that. And then as I got older, I feel like I still carried with me in a way because like I feel like once I got into high school, I got a little bit more open and a little bit more talkative, especially senior year. Unfortunately, right at the end of it all. But after high school, I did keep up with some people still that were from high school, and I was able to keep those friendships. But then there would be moments where there would be a moment where I would want to question something that maybe they wouldn't see eye to eye with me on with. And I would be afraid to just because I'm thinking, oh man, like I finally made friends after however many years, like 14 years of my life. I went with no friends really in elementary and middle school. I maybe like a few friends here and there, but like they would either move away or like we would have different classes and stuff like that. So I wouldn't see them as much. But anyway, with these friends, I was thinking, oh, I finally got like deep rooted friendships that I've been looking for all of my life. And now, if I don't agree with them on this situation, then I'm going to lose them as a friend. And now, even at this point, I feel like I've improved, but I wouldn't say I'm all the way there as far as I'm completely honest with every single person about my feelings or how I feel about a situation. because well, here's an example. I guess I have a quick like story here. So back at the end of 2021, I I had this weird, well, not weird, I guess not, if it's from God, it's not weird, but I guess I had this conviction of four people that were in my life at the time, and all four of these people were not living the way I feel that they should be living as Christians. And well, actually, one
Mm-hmm.
of them was not Christian. So that was like a conviction that was on my heart, even though I know that we were called to spread the gospel to people even outside of Christianity. But I feel like with this one person that was not Christian, I think I knew that this person would never convert to Christianity. I kind of already accepted that this person was going to remain Muslim for their whole life and stay that way. And this person, along with three other people that I feel like were living in a lifestyle that I feel like isn't right, I felt this conviction to kind of approach them and like be honest with them about my feelings. But I was scared to. I remember when I had that convicting moment, I remember I was at my Sunday school teacher at the time's house. And I remember leaving from there, like going home, and I just like busted out crying on the way home because I was like, oh my gosh, like this conversation was supposed to have been had with all four of these people a long time ago, but it was something that I was trying to, I guess, brush under the rug and trying to avoid it just for the sake of keeping peace and like keeping my friendships stable, I guess you would say. So
Yeah.
at the beginning of 2022, I did end up being honest. I started with three because three out of the four because I felt like the last person was going to be the hardest one to talk to because I was the closest with this person out of the four of these. So I started with the ones that I wasn't as close to. I was friendly with, but not like best friends with. So if that makes sense. So I did open up to them, and I kind of got I don't know, I felt like I didn't get the outcome that I was looking for. So in a way, I put a I guess I put a pause on the friendship with these three people that this outcome didn't really go to my favor. So the last person, even to this day, I'm friends with this person, but I still feel like I'm afraid to be honest, completely honest with this person. And I don't know if this person even watches my podcast, is that's why I'm bringing it up. And because I feel like even up to this day, there are things that I want to be honest about, but it always ends up being thrown back in my face. Like it's almost like a deflection in a way of like, let's talk about what you've done wrong in the friendship and and how toxic you are, even though all I'm trying to do is just be honest about a situation. So there is one person that I feel like I really, even to this day, feel like I would want to talk to about a certain situation that's happened recently, but I'm afraid to because I feel like the friendship that I feel like we have is going to uh, kind of go downhill for the worse. But sometimes it makes me question, well, if this person is kind of a, walk on eggshells kind of person, is this a friend that I should have in my life? Or should I don't know, or is this person gonna receive it well? Because I don't know. It just sometimes it's a hit or miss with this person. So yeah, with even those three people that I put on pause, that's what I call it, put it on pause with the friendship. The two of them did come back. Well, actually, all three of them did come back in my life, and all of them were actually at the adult prom. Fun fact, but one of them, I feel like I've accepted the fact that I'm good without this person. I feel like we're going in two different directions, but I do try to keep it with the other three. But like I said, there's that one friendship where I struggle with being honest with this person, even though I feel like me and this person are super close and we have years and years of friendship. But I don't know. what to do. Like I feel like there was a definitely a specific situation that didn't sit well with me, but I don't know if honesty is going to break those years of friendship or not.
So I feel like so I have a friend who I've been friends with for the longest, and I kind of understand what you're saying, like what you how you feel. Uh, I understand how you feel because there was a certain point where it was not the same type of situation or circumstances, but it did come to a point where I had to tell him the truth. And I told him, but in the end, you are who you are. And I'm friends with you because of how you are and who you are. Even if you don't change who you are because of what these people say, I'm still going to be your friend because I'm not friends with you because you don't follow my way or because you don't do stuff the way I do stuff or because, people think of you a certain way. Some people think I might be embarrassed of you or to have you around. And in the end, I'm not because I accepted him for who he is and I can't change how he thinks. The only thing I can do is let him know my personal opinion and respect his boundaries and his laws and his beliefs. So in the end, everybody will believe what they want to believe. Everybody will do what they want to do. The choices are very hard when they make you feel a certain way or uncomfortable, depending on this situation or circumstance. But at the end of the day, he's your best friend. You could talk to him, let him know how you feel, and then be like, I'm not telling you this because I want you to change who you are or change your ways. I'm telling you this because I want to be honest with you and I always want to keep this friendship between us. I think that's like the best thing. I mean, I don't know. Let me give some advice.
Yeah, I think that's some good advice that I'm going to take into consideration for sure because it's definitely not a friendship I want to see end, but I do feel like there needs to be, I know you mentioned the word boundaries, and I feel like maybe on both sides there might need to be some
Yeah,
boundaries on specific like based off this past
yeah.
circumstance.
Like that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, just like for instance, don't put your feet on my side because that bothers me. I'm like, keep your feet on your side. And I always keep my feet on my side. Like you boundaries. It's like if there's certain disagreements that you have, let them know what triggers you. Let them know. And sometimes it's best like to not talk. There's certain things that I don't speak to about with certain people that I already know that believe in something else, and that's religion. Like there was a guy I rode with on a Uber in an Uber car, and he was telling me he was a Scientologist. And I was like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "Look, respectfully, I'm not saying this because I want to preach to you or anything, or tell you that you're going to be condemned or anything like that. I want to know, what do you believe in? What do you believe in?" And so I asked him that, and he was like, "No, no, that's fine." He's like that. I've never been asked that by. He's like, usually a lot of Christian people attack me and they tell me, you're gonna be condemned, like for the rest of your life. And no, I was just curious as to what Scientologists believe. And his belief was, he doesn't there is no afterlife. There is no next phase, that science is going to evolve. And his dream, his vision is that his kids, he wants to experience it. He said, I hope I'm still alive. I hope I'm still alive to see the technology advance and us be able to reach further planets and find civilization on other Earths and stuff like that. Like, And I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I see what you see. Like, I'm not judging you. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I feel like maybe one day mankind, civilization might get up there. I mean, I'm not anyone to say that they won't. But as far as that goes, I was like, I respect that. I respect your belief. And he's like, if I don't get to see that happen, I hope my kids do. And I hope science, thrives and we get flying cars and stuff. He's like, I just think it's so cool. I was just like, yeah, I can see where you're thinking about, like, you know. And then he said about me, like, I was just like, he was like, people will believe what they want to believe. Because he said, you believe in God, you believe in a higher power, huh? And I said, yeah, I do. And he's like, what makes you believe that? I was like, It's gonna sound crazy, and I'm gonna sound crazy talking about it, but there's been a lot of situations in my life where it made me become a believer. It left me no choice but to believe because of the experiences that I had. And even in the Bible, it says it's not for those who seek it, it's for those who God has, mercy on. Like, God chooses his people, people with good hearts. We all have our purpose and roles to play in this world. And if people see bad stuff happening, it's supposed to happen. Everything is happening the way it should. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. And I respect everybody's beliefs. No religion is wrong. No belief is wrong because they are exactly where they need to be because that's where God has them.
Yeah, and I feel like to kind of like add on to your story, I feel like one thing that is helpful with your story is that the delivery of how you're asking the questions and how you're answering even his questions too helps a lot. So I feel like even if when we tie it back into the question of being afraid to be honest with our friends. I feel like that could play a big role in it as well, especially like nowadays when we have like technology with our phones. When you write out something, it's hard to read the tone. But whenever you call or FaceTime or even meet up in person, it's a whole different ball game
It's a
because then
whole different ball game.
yeah,
Because
you see a whole different.
I could text my wife like, okay. But I'm saying like, okay, yeah, and she reads it as okay. And then I come home and she's like, and I was like, what's wrong with you? And she's like, okay, okay. And I was like, what? I said, okay. Like I said, like the way I said it wasn't the way you're thinking about it. Why are you looking at me like that? So yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
exactly.
It's totally different. It's
Yeah, so I
totally
think that
different.
that's the key for sure. I think is the delivery of it, and I think if you're coming from a good place, I think you can't go wrong, with just being honest. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna take all of this advice to heart now for sure. So so moving on to this next question, I've definitely seen this happen way too many times where a one-sided friendship happens. And I guess my next question is this: have you ever been in a one-sided friendship before? And if so, what are some of the most annoying things that have seen out of a one-sided friendship?
So one-sided friendship is like basically where don't say anything to that person and you just side with that person, correct?
Yeah, so I
Or
was thinking that, and then also I was thinking of like a one-sided friendship where it feels like one person is putting more effort into a friendship than the other.
okay, okay. I was thinking like so yeah, I have been there before and I'm not gonna lie, it does get irritating. And like I said, I guess life itself has lessons to teach us and we learn. And I'm gonna say that this friendship, because at the end of the day, the person you choose to be with, like in a relationship with, could also be your friend as well. So I do believe that even in a relationship, there should be a friendship, just simply because it's not just, my girlfriend. I mean, like, I don't know how to put it right. It's like there has to be some sort of friendship in a relationship, because at the end of the day, you guys are doing everything together. And sometimes they become your best friends. Like really, they do. Like my girl now, I we laugh about stuff, we have fun together. Um, and it's been a year or more than a year. And and we have a blast together. When we go places, it's just like, I don't know, it's just so much fun being around this person, and I can't see it any other way. As far as like, we're not just soulmates, we're not just a wife or husband or a girlfriend or boyfriend. We also have this bond, this friendship that we build together. And it's it's not what it was when I was with the other person. So when you find someone who's like that, eventually you get tired of it. You get tired of being the only one pushing and putting all the effort in, and trying your best to do the best to please this person. But I feel like at the end of the day, like for instance myself, I got tired of it. I got tired, and then it's not just in relationships. It was also in like actual friendships. There's friends that I had that were like, I had to put all the effort in, and they wouldn't give anything back. You give, but they don't give back. And instead, they go and stab you in the back, or they talk dirty, or they say something to somebody else that's not decent about you. So, and a lot of the times it could be lies. And I have confronted lies coming from this other person, and it broke my heart, because when I consider someone a friend, like I said, I do take that serious. I'm just like, oh, you're my friend. Like there's one thing of being friendly, and then one thing of creating a friend. So once you create a friend, for me, creating a friend, someone who I hang out with, someone who I go have fun with, someone who I share certain emotions with, ideas or experiences, that right there, it's a different level. It's a different level, and I'm giving you trust. I'm giving you, my emotions. I'm giving you my time. And whenever they turn around, like at the beginning, it could be fine and dandy. And the next thing you know, you see who they truly are. And then you actually end up not liking their persona or their personality. And it's not wrong to dislike someone's personality, especially when they turn sour on you. It's just normal. Like some people are dealing with certain types of emotions, and they don't know how to respond to certain things happening in their lives, and they lash out on the people that are nearest to them. So, I mean, a lot of the times we also have to think about what they're going through. And I've tried to understand people as well, to see what they're going through, what they feel. I'm just like, you okay? You all right? You feeling okay? Or stuff like that. Medical reasons as well. Like, did you get hurt, or are you feeling sick? We need to go to the doctor if you're feeling some sort of way. You're trying to be the best, like really. And sometimes it doesn't work the other way around. And to people like that, it's just like, I'm not saying cut them off, tell them to go find somebody else, little elementary school type stuff. I would just respectfully tell them like, yeah, uh, it feels like breaking up with them. It really does. But yeah, no, it becomes to the point where it's like, look, man, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't I can't hang out with you anymore. It's just like I get pretty irritated by the fact that I'm always doing this or I'm always doing that, and you're always asking for this and you're always asking for that, and like you never take consideration what I'm doing. You never you take everything for granted, and you don't say thank you. You don't say please. It's like certain things like that. So then they get mad. 9 times out of 10, they get mad. They're like, "Ugh, you know what? Screw you. Like, go take a hike, or like just they need to take a chill pill." But yeah, I definitely feel like people could be a lot more mature when it comes to situations like that. Then things would probably be solved a lot easier and better.
I agree with that. Very definitely for sure. I think something that you brought up, even though I've never been married and I'm not currently married, but like you brought up the idea of marriage or even a relationship where if there's no friendship within that, then it basically isn't gonna work out well, or if it does work out well, it's not gonna work out well for long. Because I feel like when you have no substance there, like that true love and like really caring about one another and wanting to get to know each other and like stuff like that, opening up and being vulnerable, I think that's where you learn to grow in a friendship or a relationship. And when only one person's doing that, like you said, you get kind of tired when the other person is not giving their 100% and they're giving very minimum little to nothing. And I feel like since I can relate, of course, on the friendship side, I've definitely seen that happen in my life way too many times. And I do feel like it does get very frustrating and just annoying having to deal with it. And like you feel like you keep trying, like you try for months, you sometimes even try for years with some people, and you just feel like you get the same kind of thing where you feel like you give everything to that person. And then they give you like crumbs. They give you like
Yeah.
leftover energy. They don't give you like the the full attention and they don't give you all of the effort. And and I think that's the one big thing that annoys me because I feel like when it comes to me and friendships, I feel like I I give a lot, like not just material. I'm not talking about materialism stuff, but I'm talking more of just my life. Like I guess I just tell them all about me. I'm open about so many things, but then there's some people that you feel like you hope that you get that reciprocation, if that's the word. Yeah, you get that same kind of energy back. You feel like if you open up to them, that's gonna feel like, hey, I can open that door too, and I could be open with them too. And sometimes it don't happen. Sometimes it just stays at surface level. That's one like pet peeve of mine. I feel like is whenever I feel like I'm trying to be open with someone, and I just kind of get like a surface level answer is what I would call it. Just kind of, and almost to me, it sounds like, even though they're not saying it, but it's almost implying like, I really don't care what you have to say. Like, it's almost, let's change the subject. And by just the small, short answers, it could be like, oh, yeah. And you're like, oh, yeah, I just told you like so much. And like, all you got is, oh, yeah, so how's your day been? Like, were we
Yeah.
not just talking about something like it just, and sometimes maybe they don't intentionally mean it, but sometimes when it's a repeated thing, then you start thinking, okay, well, how much does this person really care? So I think
Yeah.
maybe one time or so you give it a pass, but when it's a repeated, I guess I would call it a habit, it's where you really have to start thinking like, okay, in my head, am I going to, like you said, in a way, it's almost like a breakup. It's like, am I demoting you from a friend to acquaintance? Because sometimes I've had to done that before, even though I don't tell them that, but like in my head, I'm like, oh nope, you got demoted.
I always tell them, it's not me, it's you.
That's sometimes I wish I could say that. I wish I could say that.
I just I don't know why, but like I used to be this like super I used to let people walk all over me, and I just got tired of it one day. And then it's not the fact that I learned how to be mean or that I am mean. It's just tolerance. I can only tolerate so much. Some people call me a, you know, hole. And
Hmm.
I'm like, mm, it's not that I'm bad. It's more of the fact that I just don't tolerate all the bad stuff coming in, all the bad energies, negative energies. If I immediately sense somebody with negative energy, it's just like I'm like, look, I'm not gonna deal with that. You need to take that somewhere else. Like you need, I don't know you need to watch how you're talking to me. You need to take that somewhere else. I was like, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. You can talk to somebody else like that, but it's not gonna be me. Not my mom. My mom doesn't even talk to me like that. My dad doesn't talk to me that way. So I just learned how to be direct, straightforward, very transparent is how I like to put it.
Yeah, that's a good way of going about doing that because you definitely shouldn't tolerate disrespect for sure, and especially in that way when you're being spoken to, kind of almost spoken down to, and it's like, like we're not playing that game.
I think that's what it is for me that triggers it is the disrespect. Like as soon as I'm disrespected, I'm like, no, the what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. It was it had a lot to do with the whole term on respect, but I forgot what I was gonna say. It slipped right through my mind. But yeah, when somebody disrespects me, I have to speak up because I'm really huge on respect, and I that's what triggers it. That's what triggers the whole because I'm being nice, especially if I'm being nice. Like if I'm being super nice to you, because I'm 9 times out of 10 when people first meet me, I'm like, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Like, are you doing all right? You okay? If you're good, I'm great. Like that's how I am. But then when they take my niceness for granted and they try to take advantage of me, that's when I'm like, hey, you better watch it. And a lot of people are like, who's this? He just changed out of nowhere. I was like, no, it's not that I changed. It's just the fact that I'm treating you nice for a reason. It's so you could treat me nice. I treat people how I want to be treated. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. And, you know, but yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
disrespect. I don't tolerate it.
Yeah, good for you because definitely nobody deserves that for sure. And I know you brought up the idea of you used to let people walk all over you, and maybe to some people took you for granted. Oh, I can relate to that because even to this day, it still happens. And I feel like a lot of reasons why I feel like it happens is probably, if I'm going to be honest, I allow it to happen. I'm almost enabling it, and I shouldn't be enabling it because I think people, maybe not everybody, I hope everybody does, but I feel like most people see me as, oh, he's nice, he's friendly. And I feel like it's even people that I didn't talk to in school or people that we went to school with. And maybe you've had this situation happen before, but it seems like recently, I think because maybe for me, the reason why this happens to me is because I travel a good bit. So maybe people think, oh, he's got money. So people from school, way back, people that never spoke to me ever in school, start messaging me about, hey, can I borrow $20? Hey, can I borrow $30? Hey, can they start kind of having like a casual conversation. How have you been? It's been a while since I've heard from you. And then out of nowhere, it's like, can I have $20? And it's like, is that what all this was about? I thought you were gonna catch up with me. I thought we hadn't spoken in like 15 years, and now you want to just money from me. And there have been some people where I did end up giving in and giving money, not big amounts, thankfully, but I've ended up allowing it to happen, and then I never hear from them again. So then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that it just gets old, and that's why now. I'm trying to do better at this, but sometimes I just have to start blocking people. If people start reaching out to me, I don't care if I knew you from school or not. And I'm sorry if I see you around, but you've been blocked. You've been blocked.
I don't blame you. And I mean, like, honestly, I do see you as a super nice, super like friendly person, Joel. And you've always been like that. Like you've in school, I remember you being very timid, very like quiet, when we were in like elementary. A little further up, I didn't really see you talk a lot either. But
Hmm.
but I mean, yeah, it's the truth. But I'm kind of glad that you did this podcast because there's a lot of stuff we have in common. I used to not talk to a lot of people as well. And getting walked all over is not fun. But it's not bad being the way you are because it's just who you are. That's what makes you you. But yeah, and you will learn, and within time, you will learn to administrate yourself in certain circumstances and situations. Like it just depends on who makes you learn from that experience. But
Yeah.
it will come. It will come. And
Yeah.
hopefully nobody comes in your life that will make you feel like that or that will make push you to the point to where you have to be that way. Because the reason why I was pushed to that limit is because I was with the person who was abusive, toxic, verbally abusive and physically abusive. And it was not fun. So I am thankful for that happening to me because it made me feel the person who I am today. But I don't ever wish that upon anybody to have them suffer through something like to turn them from this super nice person into this, I'm not saying I'm bad, I'm just it sucked. It wasn't fun. But I mean, if it does happen to you, just stay strong and I always looked up and prayed and I knew it was going to end eventually. I know eventually everything gets better. It has to get worse before it gets better. And it will.
Mhm.
And I just thought about that and I kept hope. Hope. We always have to have hope.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. That's definitely something that all you can do is just pray and hope that, things will get better. I definitely appreciate the kind words. Hopefully, I will never have to be put into that situation too many times to where I feel like I have to turn into this. Like I almost feel like my nicest almost gets my I guess kind of gets looked at as like a my kindness gets looked at as a weakness, I guess, if maybe that's
That's
what
what I
I'm
was
trying
gonna
to say.
say, yeah. As a weakness. But see, I don't see it
Yeah.
as a weakness. I see it as your biggest strength, honestly. Because a lot of people take niceness for granted, like I said. And I've never messaged you for money. I've never asked you for anything. And not even if I have struggled before in my past life, I don't like asking people for stuff like that. Like I'll ask them for help, like, hey, like, do you think I broke down? Do you think you come pick me up? Something like that, like something that I really need help with. I would like
Hmm.
to use my help cards wisely.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm in that same boat too, where like I'm not sure if I would be so open, like, hey, I need money. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that.
yeah, especially money. Like who just like, hey Joel, I need money. I haven't seen you or talked to you for years, but I'm not gonna ask you how you are. I'm just gonna ask you for money real quick.
That's basically you just explained the last 3, 4 years of my life. I feel like that's been people from school have been doing that too many times. I've had a few people definitely did that. One just here recently, last month. So it's just like, oh my gosh,
Dang,
like yeah, and I guess that's kind of where even kind of tying back into like one-sided friendships. Like you start thinking, okay, this person's reaching out to me. Maybe he wants to build a friendship with me. And then we start talking, then it's all of a sudden money, and it's like, okay, never mind. I thought that this was about maybe you wanted to really hear how I'm doing, but it's like, no, I think you just want to hear, oh, I'm just gonna butter him up, and then it's like hit him with the money right there. It's like, okay, like that. That definitely has been annoying for me with just even trying to build, even just having conversations. It almost just seemed like there's no substance when like they're just almost just they read my message. Well, actually, or they even reading my message. They just want to see a response, and then they're ready to jump in. Hey, so I need some money. It's like, did you even see how I was doing? Like what I've been doing, and like you asked how I was doing, but like, did you really read and see how I was doing, or were you just ready for a response to just jump in and say, hey, so I need money. I'm struggling and all of this, but it's like, aren't we all struggling at this point?
I I uh I can't believe you sending money. I'm gonna start asking you for like fruits and stuff. I'm gonna be like, hey Joel, I need a watermelon.
That I could do probably.
I'm like, hey Joel, I need a watermelon. Do you think you can get me one?
That would be funny. It's like, hey,
Some
so like
some
I'm feeling
some
sick.
popsicles, some
Can you
ice
bring me some
cream.
soup?
You you bring me some chicken noodle soup. Hey, chicken noodle soup while you're sick is the best.
Yes, yes, that's some good stuff right there. That'll do the trick.
Yeah,
So
it definitely does.
yeah. So I guess it kind of, in a way, like if you take the one-sided friendships out of the equation and like you stick to the true friendships, it kind of leads me to my next question here. So I hear that the older that you get, the smaller your circle gets. Do you see that as a good thing?
So actually, my circle's gotten pretty big.
Mm,
So the reason I say that is because so I thought my circle was going to be a lot smaller because I had like my very best friend, you know, I still have him, been friends with him since high school. And then I consider you a friend because, you know, we still kept in touch after all these years. And, you know, it's a certain level of friendship, but I mean, I still like to think of you as a friend. Um, and then I have like the friends that I've made over the years where I've worked or like, you know, workplaces, basically events or stuff like that. Like I have a pretty big circle and I like to think that I do. And it's not like people who ask me for anything. It's not people who want anything from me, who have taken from me. It's actually people who have given to me. And it was they're all really good experiences. Like this coworker I had, he actually took me home when I didn't have anybody to take me home. And we became friends and he told me whenever I need anything, he's there. And yeah, like if I text him today, like, hey, uh I need something, you know, he'll probably respond. But like I said, I'm not the type of person to just take advantage of people like that, but I know he will do it. And I have plenty of people that will do stuff like that that I consider friends and that I consider friend worthy. They're actually, you know, modest people, blunt, straightforward, transparent people, kind of like myself that are not afraid to speak their mind. So yeah, I made friends with a lot of people like this, and you know, sometimes I'll bump into them on the street. And my girl's like, "How do you know so many people?" I'm just like, "Oh, it's just that's what's his name, or that's what's her name," and she's like, "Dang," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I know a good bit of people, but I mean, knowing people and being friends with them is different. I actually have like a pretty good selection of friends that I know would come through and even put their lives on the line for me if they needed to. But yeah, I I'm thankful, and I've always put God first, and I'm thankful for these people. I think that the bigger reason why these folks have connected with me is because of God, because we've talked about it, and they're just really genuine, genuine people that are worth having around. And I mean, they know that if they need me, not to call me because I'm not going to do anything for them. No, no, that's a joke. That's a joke. No, they know I would come through. But yeah, I think that it depends. If your circle gets bigger, because I like to think of it as I'm building not my army, but like my group, just in case something goes down. I know a lot of people. Like if something were to happen with the government and we needed, I could probably gather up a whole civilization of people and we could team up together to come up with a plan and help each other out. It's like a team. I'm building a team in my head for just in case a scenario. So that way we could have a group of people who know how to grow plants and grow vegetation or like construction or anything like that, you know? The people worth saving. I would get on a bus. If there was a zombie apocalypse, I would get on a bus, drive around, pick up all the people that I know because I know they would come to good use. But yeah, no, yeah, I think like I said, it depends whether your circle gets bigger or smaller. If it gets smaller, then it's nothing to worry about. It just means it's timing also. But I feel like a lot of us, well, I'm speaking for you and for myself, people who are genuine, nice, our circle will get bigger and there will be complications with the bigger our circle gets with certain friends that we have. And you'll make new friends and you'll lose friends. And you never know what life will get you. I actually have friends who are like way above my age average. I get along better with older people. I get along better with older people than I do with younger people. Like I'll talk to a 70-year-old guy and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah, no, all these young people are crazy. And he's like, but you're young. Like, and I was like, if you know what I mean. I'm like, I don't count. I'm weird. But yeah. No, yeah. I definitely no limitations to where my friends come from. And a lot of these people have given me like their phone numbers and where they live and where they came from. And they're like, oh, if you need me, you can always come over and this and that. I'm just like, thank you. But yeah, like it definitely helps to have more friends because you'll have bigger options to do certain things. Like and I mean, they'll help you out too. Like not necessarily in the aspects that a lot of people are looking for, materialistic aspects. But say, for instance, if I want to promote something or item, I start my own business or something like that, I can count on them to, promote my stuff, and they will come through with that. So, but I wouldn't ask any more of them than that, like be like, hey, can you give me some money? But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that was my answer.
Yeah, I could see that I mean, that definitely makes sense because it really can depend because if you have a big circle of friends that has the same, like I guess I've used the word substance, like if it has the same substance as a small circle of friends where everybody truly, because I feel like if you narrow people down from a big group to a small group, that small group is typically the people that you really could count on, that you really are close to, that you open up with. But then the bigger group, if it has that same substance where you're open and honest with all of them like that, I think that it can be looked at as a good thing. Like you said, it's almost like a team that you're creating, and everyone coming together just, for one thing out of like having things in common, and then also just, you never know, like I said, with the future, what things can hold and what can happen, good or bad, even if it's not something like an apocalypse, it could be something like a death in someone's family, and like you have
Yeah.
people there ready to rally around that person that lost a loved one. So I think like even those times where you feel like,
Or
oh, like
even
you got so much support is important.
or even my own funeral. Like,
Yeah.
who's to say they won't come to my funeral? Like, what
Hmm.
if my spirit floats up and it's like, oh dang, a lot of people came. And I'm just like happy for myself.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, okay, there's people way back there. Okay.
Dang, I can't believe this many people came. I wish I was alive.
I know, right? Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Like even to your own funeral, like how many people will could be at your funeral? How many people will be there to comfort your family in their time of need
Yeah.
of losing, you? Like I think that's important to think.
Like that movie Big Fish. You ever seen that movie?
Oh yeah.
You remember how the son thought his dad was crazy and he was just making up all these stories? And then when he finally shows up to the funeral, it's like all these important people came in, all the people that he talked about, it's just it it's not that it's important to be important. It's more of the fact that when people see you that way as an important person, it's like you feel good about it at the end. I see you as an important person because I feel like you bring a lot of positivity into this world.
Well, I appreciate that. And same to you. That's why I enjoy having you on my podcast because you bring a lot of just a lot of positivity and light into this podcast, and you bring some humor into it as well. We need it every now and
Yeah,
then
I guess I'm kind of goofy, huh?
here.
I
Yeah, in the
can't I
best
can't
way.
I can't help it.
Yeah, so I think that, I like that we were even talking about that. Even like, even though death is not something that's like, oh, ha ha, he he, but like, even when you do think about it from that perspective, like, how many people will show up to my funeral? Like, if I just so happen to pass away before all of my friends, and I
You
think
know
that's
what?
crazy.
I'm gonna make sure people show up to my funeral because I'm gonna have free hot dogs. It's not gonna be a sad funeral. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
happy funeral. I'm gonna have
celebration of
free,
life.
yeah, free hot dogs, and it would be funny if I died choking on a hot dog and I have free hot dogs at my funeral. That would be hilarious. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, like I definitely don't want people to be mourning over me. I don't want them to be sad because at the end of the day, even if those people who don't believe in the next life, like in the afterlife or heaven or anything like that, because I have friends who believe in different things, like they believe in other things that I respect, but even if they don't believe in what I believe in, I don't want them to think about, oh, like, he's gone. No, I'm not gone. Like I would always live in the people's that I loved. I would always live in their memories. So like I feel like it's very important to leave a certain aspect of myself towards people, like, how they see me, not because I care about what people think, but because I want them to feel the love and the humor that I had when I was alive, and it leaves a mark in them. So like at the end of the day, to me, friends aren't just friends. They're people that I want to leave a mark in their life and kind of leave a spark because we all have a spark. We all have this thing that lights inside of us. If we're good, kind people like yourself, Joel, every single time I think of Joel, I'm just like, dang, he's always a happy person. And I know we're not always happy, but that's the perspective I got of you. Like that's how I think of you. Like the energy that I feel from you every time I see you is like happy Joel, nice Joel, he's kind. I freaking love him. And it's just like how can you not like Joel? You know, and like that's what I want to do also is leave that image behind in people's heads where it's like, oh, Miguel was always laughing and making jokes. Like, I love he spread so much love and kindness to the world. And yeah, I want people at my funeral to be happy, not sad, because even if you, like I said, even if they don't believe in a higher power or whatever, at the end of the day, my suffering ended. I am no longer in pain. I will no longer feel the pain of this world and suffer along with this world. I will be in a better place. That's it. I mean,
Mhm.
honestly. And that's the way we all got to see it. When our time comes, it comes, and there should be no mourning.
Yeah. Amen to that. Yeah, definitely, definitely some wise words for sure. I think that's something that we all need to really just, you know, consider, really think about and really take into consideration that what we do here. And like you said, I think that was one thing that you mentioned that I really liked was that even if you are no longer here physically, but like you will still be living in people's hearts, like the memories that you created with those people, like that's something that they will cherish forever. And I think whether the circle is small or bigger, I think the impact on even one person, I think, shows, what kind of it speaks volumes to the kind of person that you are, and, anybody that is watching this podcast that is maybe impacting someone. So I think that's a really good way of looking about like this question of like, smaller or bigger circle, because really at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have a bigger or smaller circle. I think what matters is if there's just one person in your life that you feel like you have impacted for the better and that maybe have changed their life for the better. I think that's a success in my book.
One counts. Yes. One definitely counts. If it's at least one person that shows up to my funeral, he's gonna have a blast. He's gonna have all them hot dogs himself.
Yeah, all the hot dogs, get all those hot dogs.
Yeah, he told me there was gonna be hot dogs here.
Yeah, so I love that. I like that. So I guess, I know we've been talking about like, people that we really have grown like close friendships with and all of that. So, but my final question, and maybe kind of continuing on with this conversation that we're having currently, if you could be completely honest, how many true friends do you feel like you have in your life right now?
True friends,
Now, maybe when I say true friends, maybe I mean more like maybe people that you can truly open up with and like you can fully trust. Like, I mean, maybe you trust all your friends, but like some of these best friends, like you depend fully on these people.
I know I can count on these people. It's crazy because these people give, they don't take. And I give to them, and they don't ask. And they're always there, and I consider them my brothers. And I mean, like, fully. And I mean, it's it's not just the fact that you give and in the receiving what they give. It's also like them listening, them hearing you, them understanding, them, like they've been through, they've been there when I was at my lowest. They've been there when I was at my highest. Well, right now, like I'm at my highest. They've been there when I've struggled, and they've seen me, try to get back up on my feet. And, you know, I'm thankful for the friends that I have because they brought me a lot of joy. the biggest thing that they've ever given me was the laughs that I shared with them, the moments that, we went out and hung out and just kind of explored because I had I had to get my mind off of a lot of things that were going on, and they helped me forget because I was just laughing at the dumb stuff that they would do. But true friends are really hard to come by, and I have some really close ones. Now, I can't think of the number, but I can think of, it's like a bit. I mean, it's not like huge numbers, probably like, let's see, probably like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think even in your big circle of friends, it's always good to have those people that you could depend on. But yeah, I think even just having that smaller inner circle within the circle, I think is important too. And to hear five, it makes sense because, like you said, the real, true best friends, because I know you can't open up to, not saying that you have 50 friends, but you can't open up the same way to all 50 people, or you could, it just takes a lot of work. So I think that the 4 or 5 does make a lot of sense, and to me at least.
Yeah, because I mean, I I don't have a problem opening up with other people, even a stranger. Like I'll open up to a stranger. And some
Mhm.
people say, "Why would you do that? They can use that against you." But my thing is I'm not afraid of who I am, and I'm not afraid for people to know who I am. And I'm very certain of myself to the point where sometimes a stranger can help you out. Sometimes someone you don't really know can give you some really good advice. And I have learned that throughout the years. And sometimes they'll mock you, they'll make fun of you, they'll judge you, they'll tell you certain things that you not agree with. And you're just like, well, I mean, oh well, it is what it is. Like, it happened. You can't call me dumb because I didn't go through it twice. I went through it once. And they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't have done that. You should have known. And I'm just like, have you ever messed up? And they're like, no, I ain't never messed up. But some people don't understand. Some people live trapped, like I said, in their negativity and, closed mindedness. But doesn't make them wrong for it. Just, I don't know. Some people are different and I
Mhm.
accept different. People do not accept different. But at the end of the day, we are who we are.
Yeah, that's true. Like you said, I think that's good that you even are so willing to be open to almost any, even strangers. I think is really good that you have that willingness to be open and all of that. So I like that. I think for me, I feel like I'm getting better with this, but I feel like I still have a ways to go. I think I would say I have many, like even everyone that's been on my podcast, including you, I would consider a friend. But like when I think of people that, maybe I see a lot more often, or people that I've built years upon years of friendship with, it is a hard number to think of because, you do think of, you start thinking, oh, well, this person was here for me at one point, and, this person was here for me. And, you start thinking about all of that. So, I do feel like as far as friends, true friends, I feel like I have many to where it is hard to count. But when I think of like that core inner circle within the circle,
Hmm.
I think of maybe it's definitely less than 10. I would say maybe 7 or 8. people that come to mind, and I feel like even that used to not have been my answer. Like I feel like back then when I was younger, I feel like even when I was older, like here in my mid 20s, I feel like that number was almost non-existent. I almost feel like there was nobody I could count on, well, other than Jesus. But other than Jesus and family, I feel like I couldn't count on people outside of my family. So I feel like, and I think that's one good thing about me growing up in a big family is that I already have built-in friendships, like with people that I'm related to, of course, and grew up with. So I thought that was, I guess, the beauty side of family, which I know I've talked about, in the first episode of this year. But I think like even including people outside of your family that can be considered family, your friends could be your family. I think that's a really good way to think about, that inner circle of people. So I would say that, yeah, it makes sense as far as how many people that you truly have within that smaller circle within the circle. It could be small, and then it's definitely nothing wrong if people start adding more to that small circle, even if that small circle is no longer a small circle. I think it's okay. I think as long as you are, like you said, being who you are, being true to who you are, and if people love you for who you are, then I see no complaints. The more the merrier.
Yeah, for real. I agree.
So, yeah, so I think that overall, I feel like now I don't know if I'll have to do a part three because I feel like I have all of my, I have some of my questions as far as friendships out there. I feel like I've gotten some of the surface level questions, but I feel like this episode I feel like I dug a little bit deeper into like maybe some of the
Yeah.
challenges and obstacles within a friendship. And I feel like I chose the right person to do this with. I think that you gave a lot of good advice and you had a lot of good, just you gave me different perspectives on how I initially thought of answering like some of these questions and how like listening to your answer, even if I didn't see it from that perspective at first, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. So, like with especially with the question of, the smaller your circle gets, the better it can be or whatever. And, I could see that, not really mattering at the end of the day. So I think that's what this podcast is all about. It's about learning and about seeing, different people's perspectives and, really uh, taking it all in. So I definitely felt that this was a really good episode, and I appreciate you being on here with me.
Thank you. I honestly love being on your podcast, and it was an honor to be here with you, Seth.
Yeah, so I definitely always appreciate you being here. So I definitely look forward to hopefully doing some future episodes with you, whether you're from outer space or if you're back on Earth.
Yeah, so I'll probably be on Earth in like mm,
After
maybe in
elections. That's good.
yeah, that would be a good time. I want to be back down there in like midsummer so I can go to the beach, and then I'll go back up once winter kicks back in.
There you go. I like that answer. Take me with you.
Yeah, there's no worries up here. No rules. You can eat all the toothpaste you want.
There you go. You got all that toothpaste up there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got bacon flavored toothpaste.
Mm, okay now. Yeah, so I definitely, we'll definitely have to catch you in space here within maybe the next episode or so. So I do have to mention one more thing. I've been noticing this whole time. I better send a public apology to all of y'all because my lighting is too bright. I look super white on here. I'm not as white as y'all think. I'm white, but I ain't this white. And I just realized how bright this light is. But I feel like before Miguel got on here, I know for people that are listening, y'all are probably like, what are you talking about? But if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see I'm like Casper, like right now I feel like. But okay, so I think Miguel's battery died on him, his phone battery. So I definitely appreciated him being on here. And I hope that y'all enjoyed this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube or any of the podcast streaming platforms. Like I said, sorry I'm super white. I got all this light on me, but I'm definitely so glad that we had a good episode, and I hope that y'all enjoyed and learned something new out of the dark side of friendships, or the obstacles that happen in friendship. So I hope that y'all are having a great rest of your day or night, depending on when you are listening or watching this. And I will see y'all on the next episode of Not Your Average Joel. Talk to y'all later.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Not Your Average Joel. My podcast is available not only on YouTube, but also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, and Pocket Cast. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page where you can reach out to me. On Facebook, just type in Not Your Average Joel, and you should be able to find my Facebook page. You can find me on Instagram at Not Your Average Joel Podcast. I also now have a website where you can find all of my resources there, along with learning more about who I am and what my podcast is about. You can go to www.notyouraveragejoelpodcast.com. I've been in the world of podcasting for 5 seasons now, and I will never take this opportunity for granted. Thank y'all so much for your support, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Not Your Average Joel. Goodbye.